Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're tackling a question that confuses a lot of men. Why does a woman who loves you sometimes ignore you? It's frustrating, even painful, to feel close to someone and suddenly sense them pulling away. No arguments, no apparent reason, just distance. Most men assume this means she's losing interest. But what if the truth is the complete opposite? What if her silence isn't a rejection, but a sign of how much she cares? In this video, we're going beyond surface-level dating advice and diving into the psychology behind why a woman might withdraw when she feels deeply for a man. We'll explore the unconscious fears, emotional conflicts, and hidden reasons that can make love overwhelming, even for someone who genuinely wants to be with you. If you've ever found yourself in this situation, don't jump to conclusions just yet. Stay with me until the end, because understanding this could completely change how you see relationships. Let's get into it. 1. The unconscious mind's role in love. Love is rarely a straightforward equation. Many men assume that if a woman expresses affection openly, her feelings must be clear, unwavering, and free from internal resistance. But love is not solely a conscious choice. Deep, unconscious forces also shape it. A woman may genuinely care for a man, desire intimacy, and enjoy his presence, yet still pull away, without fully understanding why. These moments of emotional retreat are often not about him, but something buried within her mind. The unconscious mind is a powerful force, holding on to past experiences, old wounds, and unspoken fears. While a woman may actively seek connection, her deeper, unprocessed emotions can sometimes work against her. She may have been hurt before, abandoned, betrayed, or dismissed, and though she may believe she has moved on, the imprint of those experiences lingers beneath the surface. When she begins to feel genuinely vulnerable with a man, these hidden fears may awaken, not as conscious thoughts, but as instincts, subtle hesitations, or unexplained emotional shifts. For a man, this can be deeply confusing. One moment she seems engaged, warm, and affectionate, and the next she becomes distant, guarded, or even irritated without any apparent reason. He may try to rationalize her behavior, searching for something he did wrong or something he can fix, but often this reaction has little to do with him and everything to do with how her unconscious mind processes closeness. The deeper the bond, the greater the emotional risk she perceives. Even if he has done nothing to cause doubt, her past experiences may whisper to her, warning her not to trust too much, not to open up too thoroughly, and not to get too attached. This is why some women instinctively push a man away when things start to feel real. It is not rejection in the traditional sense. It is a defense mechanism. A man who does not understand this might react by chasing more, trying to reassure her, or demanding an explanation. But pushing against her retreat often only reinforces her fear, making her feel even more overwhelmed. The key is not to force closeness, but to recognize the underlying dynamics. When a woman begins to withdraw, a high-value man does not panic. He does not beg for her affection or try to convince her of his worth. Instead, he remains steady, allowing her to work through her emotions without feeling pressured. He understands that love is not just about making someone feel good at the moment, but about creating an environment where she can face her fears without judgment. He does not need to solve her inner conflicts for her, nor does he need to take her hesitation personally. He simply continues to be the man he is, offering consistency in the face of uncertainty. Over time, this steady presence has a powerful effect. A woman conditioned to expect disappointment, abandonment, or rejection will slowly begin to realize that she is with a man who does not react to her fears with fear of his own. She will see that her moments of vulnerability do not make him pull away, nor do they make him try to control her emotions. This realization allows her to relax, trust, and step beyond the barriers her unconscious mind has built. Love, at its core, is not just about desire or attraction. It is about navigating the unspoken forces that shape human connection. A woman's emotional shifts will not throw off a man who understands this. He will recognize them for what they are, approach them with patience, and allow love to unfold at its own pace. 2. The love as a mirror. Why she retreats when she feels too much. Love is not just an experience, it is a mirror. A woman does not only see a man for who he is, she sees herself through him. The closer she gets, the more precise her reflection reveals her desires and the wounds she has carried for years. The more she cares, the more vulnerable she feels. Sometimes, that vulnerability overwhelms her. A woman who has learned to guard herself and built walls to protect her heart may not realize how deeply she longs to be seen. But something shifts within her when she meets a man who truly understands her, listens without judgment, and offers presence instead of demands. The emotional masks she has worn, whether out of self-protection or habit, begin to slip away. And for a moment, she is exposed. If she has unresolved pain, old fears, or unspoken insecurities, being close to him brings them to the surface. It is not because he is doing anything wrong, but because he is doing something right. He is making her feel safe enough to confront the parts of herself she has avoided. This is why a woman sometimes pulls away when she feels too much. It is not rejection. It is self-preservation. When love holds up a mirror and shows her things she is not ready to face, retreating can feel like the only way to regain control. She may create distance not because she wants to, but because she does not yet know how to stay. A man who does not understand this dynamic might take it personally. He may believe he did something to push her away, or that her feelings were never confirmed. But that is not the case. Her withdrawal is not a sign of lost interest, but a test of her readiness. Some women return after processing their feelings, realizing the connection was worth the discomfort. Others remain distant, not because they do not care, but because they fear stepping into something more profound than they have ever known. The strongest thing a man can do in this situation is to hold steady, not chase, pressure, or demand answers, but simply focus on himself. When she looks in the mirror of love and sees fear, she needs to know that he is not shaken by it. A man who understands this does not try to fix her, nor does he try to convince her to stay. He knows that genuine connection cannot be forced. It must be chosen. Love is a mirror. For some, what they see is beautiful. For others, it is terrifying. But in the end, only those willing to face their reflection can step fully into love. 3. The fear of vulnerability and emotional overload. Love demands vulnerability, yet for many women opening up emotionally is not a simple act. It is a risk. A woman who has experienced emotional wounds from past relationships may instinctively associate deep emotional connections with the potential for pain. She has learned that love, no matter how promising, carries the weight of uncertainty. Even when she desires connection, an unconscious fear lingers beneath the surface, whispering that closeness can lead to hurt. This internal conflict is rarely visible at first. She may appear fully engaged, enjoying deep conversations and shared moments, but as emotions intensify, she begins to feel an undercurrent of anxiety. It is not that she does not care. It is that caring too much feels like stepping onto unstable ground. If she has been abandoned before, her heart remembers the pain. If she has lost herself in love before, she hesitates to surrender again. The closer she gets, the more she fears losing control, and this fear often manifests as withdrawal. When a woman pulls away, it is not always a conscious choice. She may not even fully understand why she feels the need to retreat. It can seem sudden, confusing, or even contradictory to a man. One moment she is fully present, laughing, sharing, connecting, and the next she is distant, unavailable, and more challenging to reach. This is not necessarily a rejection, but an automatic response to emotional overload. She steps back, not because she wants to leave, but because she needs space to regain her balance. A woman who fears vulnerability is not avoiding love. She is protecting herself from what love has cost her in the past. Some women fear being consumed by a relationship and losing their independence or identity. Others worry that the intensity of their emotions will expose them, making them too easy to hurt. The deeper the connection, the stronger these fears become, creating an internal tug-of-war between desire and self-preservation. For a man who truly cares, patience and understanding are essential. Pressuring her to explain her emotions while still processing them will only make her withdraw. The key is to provide a space where she feels safe to navigate her feelings without fear of judgment. A man who reacts with frustration or insecurity reinforces her fears, while a man who remains steady and supportive helps her trust that love does not have to mean loss. Love is about grand gestures or passionate words, and understanding the silent struggles beneath the surface. A woman who hesitates in love is not incapable of it. She simply needs reassurance that she can be open without being hurt. The more a man recognizes this, the deeper the connection he can build, not by demanding vulnerability, but by showing her that it is safe to be vulnerable with him. 4. Why ignoring you does not mean she stopped caring. A man's instinctive reaction to being ignored by a woman he cares about is often self-doubt. Did he say something wrong? Did he push too hard or not enough? Is she losing interest? These thoughts can spiral quickly, leading him to overanalyze every past interaction in search of a reason. But what many men fail to recognize is that a woman's withdrawal is not always a reflection of his actions. More often than not, it reflects her internal world, one she may not fully understand. A woman's emotions are complex, shaped by past experiences, current stressors, and deep-seated fears she may not openly acknowledge. When she pulls away, it can be a coping mechanism rather than a deliberate choice. Sometimes she feels overwhelmed by emotions she cannot immediately process, and distance becomes her way of regaining control. In those moments, she may not even recognize why she is acting as she is. She only knows that something inside her feels uncertain, conflicted, or unsettled. Men often assume that if a woman cares, she will always be open, available, and emotionally consistent. But real emotions are rarely that simple. A woman can be deeply invested in a man and still feel the need to retreat into herself. This does not necessarily mean she is losing interest. She is navigating an internal conflict that has little to do with him. Perhaps she is afraid of vulnerability, unsure of how much of herself she wants to give. Maybe she is wrestling with past disappointments, trying to protect herself from repeating old mistakes. Or perhaps she needs space to process feelings that surfaced faster than expected. When a man misreads her withdrawal as rejection, he often reacts in one of two ways. He either chases her for reassurance, pushes for answers she is not ready to give, or withdraws completely, mirroring her distance to protect his pride. Both responses can create unnecessary tension. Instead, the most powerful thing a man can do in these moments is to remain steady, patient, and unshaken. A woman does not need a man who reacts emotionally to her uncertainty. She needs a man who can hold space for her emotions without demanding immediate clarity. He does not need to fix her feelings or solve an imaginary problem. He must remain present, confident, and aware that her temporary retreat does not define their connection. A man who understands this does not let his self-worth be dictated by her moments of silence. He does not see distance as a threat but as part of the natural rhythm of emotional connection. He does not panic, overcompensate, or assume the worst. Instead, he allows her the space she needs while maintaining the steady presence of a man who is secure within himself. In the end, a woman will return to the man who remains grounded when she is uncertain, who does not let fear dictate his actions, and who trusts the bond between them enough to let it breathe. When she does, she will know that she is not with a man who demands constant validation, but with one who understands the depth of emotional connection, one who does not need to chase because he already knows his worth. 5. The worst thing a man can do when she pulls away. There comes a moment in many relationships when a woman begins to distance herself, leaving a man confused, frustrated, and searching for answers. The instinctive male reaction is often to chase, to demand explanations, to seek reassurance, or to do whatever it takes to bring her back. But the truth is that pushing for immediate clarity usually has the opposite effect. Instead of pulling her closer, it reinforces her need to withdraw. Women are emotional creatures, processing feelings in ways that are not always straightforward. When she pulls away, it may not be about the man. She could be struggling with internal doubts, fears, or even past wounds resurfacing. But when she feels pressure to explain before she is ready, it only magnifies her need to escape. Love is not about control or forcing a resolution. It is about allowing space for emotions to settle, trusting that she will find her way back if the foundation is strong. A man who understands this does not react impulsively. He does not bombard her with messages, demands to know what went wrong, or tries to solve an emotional puzzle that is not his to fix. Instead, he remains steady. He holds his ground, not with cold indifference, but with quiet confidence. He understands that a woman needs space to process emotions on her terms. If her distance is driven by fear, forcing a confrontation will only confirm her need to retreat. But when she sees that he does not panic, that he does not let anxiety dictate his actions, she begins to feel safe again. Security in a relationship is not about constant proximity. It is about knowing that even when there is distance, the connection remains unshaken. Many men fail at this moment because they see her withdrawal as a personal rejection. They believe that if she is pulling away, it means she no longer cares. But this is not always the case. Sometimes space is not about ending something, but understanding it more deeply. A woman respects a man who does not react with fear. She is drawn to the one who gives her the room to navigate her emotions without pressure or expectation. The most substantial relationships are built on trust, not force. A man who remains composed in uncertainty, who does not chase but instead holds his emotional ground, is the one she will return to, not because he demanded it, but because she chooses it. 6. Testing love through absence. Is she subconsciously testing you? Many men have experienced the confusion of women pulling away when things seem to be going well. One moment she is engaged, warm and present. The next she is distant, unresponsive, or even absent altogether. This shift can feel sudden and disorienting, leaving a man questioning what went wrong. But often this distance is not a sign of disinterest. It is a subconscious test, a way for her to gauge the depth of his feelings and the strength of his presence. Women, whether they realize it or not, sometimes create space to provoke a reaction. A part of them may wonder, will he chase? Will he fight for her attention? Will he seek reassurance, or will he remain calm and centered? It is not always a conscious game, but a deep-rooted psychological mechanism tied to security and attachment. A woman may pull away to see if a man will close the gap, believing his willingness to pursue her confirms his dedication. But true love is not measured by the number of steps a man takes toward her when she retreats. It is measured by the foundation of trust that allows both partners to feel secure, even in moments of distance. A mature man does not chase blindly. He recognizes that love is not a series of tests or constant reassurance seeking. If a woman creates distance, he does not react impulsively, fearing that he is losing her. Instead, he takes a step back and asks the more profound question: is this distance a natural need for space, or is it a recurring pattern of emotional withdrawal? A woman who steps away with the intent of returning stronger, seeking clarity, emotional depth, or personal growth, is different from a woman who habitually creates distance as a means of control. Many relationships fall apart because one person continually seeks proof of love, while the other grows exhausted. Love should not be a cycle of pursuit and retreat, but a space where both people feel safe. A woman who distances herself repeatedly without growth may not be emotionally ready for true intimacy. The question is not whether she comes back, but whether she returns with a deeper understanding of herself and the relationship. A strong man understands this. He does not fear space. He does not see absence as a threat, but as an opportunity to observe. Does she return with a renewed sense of connection, or does she reappear only to repeat the cycle? If love is to last, it cannot be built on uncertainty and hidden tests. It must be built on trust, communication, and the willingness of both partners to meet each other where they are, without fear, without games, and the need for constant validation. 7. What if she never comes back? There are moments in a man's life when a woman he once cherished chooses to walk away. No warnings, no explanations, just silence where her presence used to be. It is easy to interpret this as a failure, as if something could have been done differently to make her stay. But the truth is, not every connection is meant to last forever. Some people enter our lives not to remain, but to teach us something, illuminating a part of ourselves we might have overlooked. Love is often mistaken for possession, a belief that once we find someone who fits into our world, we should hold on tightly. But the other thing that requires clinging is not love, it is fear. A woman who walks away may not have done so because the connection lacked meaning, but because it meant too much. Sometimes, love demands vulnerability that a person is not yet ready to embrace. It forces them to confront buried emotions, insecurities they have ignored, and truths they are unprepared to face. And when that moment comes, the choice is either to stay and grow, or to retreat into the familiar comfort of solitude. A man who understands this does not see her departure as a reflection of his worth. He does not beg, chase, or demand answers. He knows she would be if she genuinely wanted to be in his life. Instead of mourning what was lost, he shifts his focus to what was gained. The lessons, the experiences, the realizations about himself that only this connection could have revealed. He recognizes that true love is not measured by permanence, but by the depth of transformation it inspires. Some women return, realizing they need time to make sense of their emotions. Others never do, and that is not a tragedy, it is simply reality. The right woman does not need to be convinced to stay. She stays because she chooses to, because she sees something in the connection that she is willing to explore despite the fears and uncertainties. When she walks away and never returns, the question is not why she left, but what her absence teaches. Perhaps it is a lesson in self-respect, knowing that another's presence does not determine a man's value. Maybe it is a reminder that love is about connection, not control. Or perhaps it is proof that some people are meant to be chapters, not endings, and that is perfectly okay. Love is complex, and distance does not always mean disinterest. Often, a woman pulls away not because she has stopped caring, but because she is battling emotions she may not fully understand. Her withdrawal can be a sign of deep internal conflict, a fear of vulnerability, or an unconscious attempt to process overwhelming feelings. The worst mistake a man can make is to chase, demand answers, or try to force closeness. Genuine connection cannot be pressured, only nurtured. The best response is patience, self-respect, and emotional stability. If she returns, it should be with clarity and a willingness to deepen the connection, not a continuation of emotional cycles. If she doesn't, the separation was not a loss but a lesson, a step toward finding a truly fulfilling relationship. Real love does not require force. It flows naturally when both people are emotionally ready. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced this? How did you handle it? Share your insights in the comments below. And if you found this discussion valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more content on love, psychology, and self-growth. See you in the next one.